was in my Bible this morning, and I actually wasn't studying this. I was studying something else, but then the Lord brought this very familiar piece of scripture to me, and it just kind of got me thinking, so I'm going to share if that's okay. So it says, "Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, 'Sit here while I go over there and pray.' He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, 'My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me.'" He says, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." He was so burdened, he was so overcome that he thought, I might die right here. That is a significant, deep trouble, pain that he was feeling. And, the Bible is everything has a meaning. And when you look at Gethsemane, the Mount of Olives, or the actual meaning is, I think it's just oil press. I got to thinking, like, the oil press, to make oil, it's a lot of pressure, just to take the olives, to get the paste, right? There's a ton of pressure. And then once you have the paste, you put it in baskets, and then it's more pressure, and then more pressure. And I think that it's in this place here where we're talking about the Lord felt sorrow and trouble and overwhelm. He felt the heavy, heavy pressure to the point of death. I might die. And I think that we can get to those places ourselves. That's why Jesus's life here as man was so important, because he felt the things that we feel. And when we know that Jesus himself has felt, sorrow to the point of death, I think it can comfort us, like, in our deepest times of struggle and that crushing weight that is just on us. And another thing I just wanted to point out in that verse is it says, "Stay here and keep watch with me." Jesus didn't want to be alone. He didn't want to be alone. He wanted his disciples to be with him. And I think it's just a reminder that when we're going through hard, pressing, crushing, overwhelming, sorrowful times, we don't need to be alone. I think there's more to that, but I think that one thing to take away from that is Jesus didn't want to be alone. And then verse 39 goes on to say, going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." And I think that, so what I was studying this morning was the position of prostration. To be prostrate, or to have a prostrate position in the biblical meaning, really in any meaning, is to be face down, flat on the ground. But I was sort of looking up, like, the biblical meaning and just what lies behind that. And, there are many verses where, people fell on their face. People fell on their face and met God, or it was because of his presence that they fell on their face. But it was very profound to me that Jesus himself going a little farther, fell on his face. And so, I promise I have a point to this. And then he prays and he says, if it is possible, take this cup from me, but if not, your will. But I think that he knew that praying to the Father in this submissive place would bring peace. I think he knew that in that time of despair where he thought, I'm in so much sorrow I could die, that if he just laid himself out, submitted, and he prayed, he would find the comfort that he needed. He knew that he was going to suffer, but he needed that comfort. So anyway, for myself, I took something away from this. Jesus came and he understood the deepest sorrow and pressure that we could feel. And his response, right? His response was, stay here with me, disciples. I don't want to be alone. And then he went and he fell on his face and he prayed. And so that is an encouragement to me. One, God knows what we feel. Two, we don't need to be alone. And three, I think one of the best ways to feel the comfort that we need is to just fall on our faces in submission and pray. And not my will, but your will be done. And I do think he comforts us. That doesn't mean he takes the suffering away, but he comforts us.